Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Oh, okay. Osama's there. Omar is there. Oh, people are coming in. 5 people so far. Can I find out who these people are? Nope. Alex. Hi, Alex. Sorry, I think this room is really weird for the light. This is really weird, actually. Okay. Sorry, I'll have to do it like this. Um, okay, so I guess today I really wanted to try and clear out any things about the assignment if there are still things to clear out. Now, I think one, looks like the AC is off. So one thing that I can do is I can't stream from my laptop. Okay. So what I'll do is I will, one of the things that I want to do is to actually send a document of something that last year got 100 out of 100. So kind of that you can use as a reference point, to get a really good score. But now, before we get into that, so do we have any questions? I think today is about assignment or anything on in the unit, how we're running the pracs at the moment. Actually, is 15 last date for submission? Yes, it is the last date, and there will be no extensions. Okay, so let me see if I can find it. Richard. Okay, so what I might want to go through is one assignment, like the Adobe X. Can we provide extra material as well, like the Adobe XD file? Potentially, yes. So I am looking at my. So what I might do, I might go through one of my students' files. Okay. So let's do this. Let me go through the document that Richard has written last year. So Richard is an ex-student. So they were working on something called OKPlate, which is an online service that confirms the validity of a Victorian vehicle registration plate. This is the goal. The service enables the user to provide an image of a number plate and receive a spoken response that the plate is valid or invalid by checking the plate versus the registration details. The application is targeted predominantly towards service stations, but can be utilized by toll agencies, parking stations, councils, and blah, blah, blah. So for example, he actually came up with a good example. Petrol stations may refuse fuel purchase if plates are invalid. So he wanted to create this system, which basically, as an recognition system, visual recognition, to read the plate, and then it will check against a database of registered plates or plates which might have issues. And that was his model, his service. Yes, Alex, assignment 1 is just documentation. Um, so he had very good, so Richard had extremely good project value. So which one of them was to, his vision was to provide integration services between consumer and providers. And that's really the basic of what SOA should be doing, really. It's be very agnostic about some services that you build. So he had a very good idea that, not just the police is looking for number plates, but anyone else, like for example, the petrol stations. It is already it's similar to an existing system. The application is similar to the BlueNet system utilized by the Victorian government, the Victorian police, to detect fraudulent drivers, which cost around $86 million. So basically, his idea was to recreate something that the police has spent $86 million creating. So that is a value hypothesis. Now, the growth hypothesis, it's around partnering with the data providers, lobbying for the right to be. What is this? So I didn't read it before coming in here. I just thought about it would be a very good thing to do, since this was 100 out of 100. I think it was a really good assignment. Yeah, it's the fact that he wanted to create an ecosystem around it and have this app basically become as a service. So his role in the future will be just to provide number plates identification. Whoever wants to use it, they can do whatever they want with it. The metrics for them is the application usage, which will feed into the subscription model, and future functionality may shift the application usage, because this can be used for public or can be used for private. So these are the metrics they were trying to use. And I guess they're all around how much the application gets used. In some of your cases, it might be a little bit different, where maybe you want to look at how good the application actually is, how reliable it is. Then the project plan is the communication strategy, the task management strategy, and the iteration plans. And the communication strategy is pretty much, how you're going to communicate. This is how do you talk to the other people in your team. Task management strategy, for example, they decided to use Trello. And these are very simple but extremely important part of a project. He then created the iteration plans. And the iteration plan was really well broken down. So, for example, the first thing that they did, create the mock-up screens. So that's where Osama kind of comes in as well. That he said he wanted to provide the XD files. Yes, you can. I would say that maybe don't provide the XD files, maybe publish them or provide the PDFs of them. And definitely, I'm not interested in going through the XD files. I want to see them, but the PDFs are probably the best ones to do. So create a skeleton application. Then another iteration will be attempt to consume the image to text service and incorporate into the application. Then attempt to consume text to speech service and incorporate into the application. Iteration 6 will be attempt to consume image capture service and incorporate into the application. So this is very repetitive, but this is how it should be. It should be extremely clear what each service does and what each iteration does. And because we're really trying to use a prototype style of development, then it does make sense to design each iteration where you try each and every single service one at a time. So they did apply the design thinking process as well. So they provided the entire questionnaire. The architecture was very well done. Was very clear what it did, and they also not only they had, let's say, the existing architecture, they also provided the future architecture. So I will provide this. I will provide this in the maybe later on tonight to give an example. But having said that, do not. Just having this does not mean that it makes your life easier. You still need to produce something which is your own. Don't copy. It won't help you. Let's have a look. So I think one thing which is very important to understand is the what are they called? The architectural decisions. Why do you do something? And why did you choose a specific way of doing it? So, for example, use open source freely available software and tools. I think we have been through this. Why, for example, do you want to use a particular stack against another stack? And I think he basically mentioned, so he compared 3 of them. One was .NET, one was Ruby, and one was Node.js. So this was a very well done comparison, and also a reason why he selected them. So they had the justification. Why would you use a database instead of another database, which I will get rid of in the actual when I send it to you, because I am 100% sure that people will just end up copying it, and I don't want that to happen. Which choice of image recognition API, why would you choose one instead of another? And this is really, trying to basically compare all the different technologies. And this is pretty much the entire first application, the entire assignment 1. So I will send it out in a cut down version, probably later on tonight, so expect it. But yeah, so let's go with the questions. Is there anything that I can answer? Are there still any issues, any problem that I should solve? I think Omar sent me an email some time ago about the application. No, I don't remember. Could be another Omar. Nope, everybody seems happy. Nobody wants to discuss the application they're building. Yeah, good. Okay, so what did we discuss in last week's actually? I can't remember. Oh, so last week I think we were looking at, so that maybe I'll just go through some of the week 5 application design. Okay. So I'm just going to quickly go through the okay, yeah. So last week's slides, they should help you in understanding better what it means to create an application and make it cloud native. And this should really reflect onto your assignment 1. And there's also a number of things that will be in the exam. So for example, how do you find the right users? Who are your users? How do you differentiate them? And what are the expectations. So for example, in looking at the sample application that we built, there was a concept of isolation, availability, and scalability, which we will look into in the future, in the very near future, actually. So I think we're starting to get closer to, to the, you're now trying to build all the knowledge that you need to pass the exam. As we always mentioned, this is the exam takes in a number of things. One is your ability to understand problems and transform them into technical solutions. Another very important part of the exam, it's also to write simple code. And another important part, it's also to design diagrams, and apart from the definitions and everything. So these are the major questions, and you should start now developing all of those skills. So use the time that you have to design your applications, and also very importantly, probably in week 7 I will be, so that means next week I will be in some of the pracs when I can, to actually meet with all of you to try and have some sort of a feedback without reading your assignment yet. So I just want to know, what is your project about? Is it clear enough? Because I want to know whether or not you can go and develop it. Now, Omar had a question about how far can you deviate from the actual implementation from the project in the document. Generally, if you have been inside the pracs, you should have spoke to Naveed a number of times. So he should have told you whether or not, or you can ask here, you should have asked whether or not your project is feasible, and how hard it is. Now, deviate as a number of, me what? Did I just say me? I don't know. Anyway, so deviate has a number of meanings. So that's something that you should really look into. Are you doing something completely different? Are you changing things because of technical problems? This one is for recognizing plates. If you come back to me and you give me a chatbot about cooking recipes, that's not deviation. That's changing everything. If you come to me and tell me, look, we had this issue and we had to show the application on localhost, do we have to deploy it? In the end, you will need to deploy it, yes. Okay, let's say that the 100 out of 100 will be the application fully deployed. After all, this is a cloud class. All right, you need to deploy it. So, but this is why you should really be in the pracs, practicing and asking questions and really putting things together. That is what you should be doing right now. Okay, cool. So anyway, like I said, probably in the next week and week 8, we'll try to come all of the pracs. So please come to the pracs so that we can make sure that everybody is on track with HDs, or at least aiming for HDs. Do we have to use IBM Cloud if we have our own resources? Perhaps. Sure, Alex, go for it. I absolutely don't mind. I'm not here to sell IBM products. I know that I have IBM resources. as being part of DKIM. The same I cannot say about AWS, but I'm definitely not here to make these kind of decisions. Yeah, sure. I mean, okay. I mean, as long as you're still using services, that's all good. Only 1 month free server, whereas the AWS still got a still for a year. Yeah, did you use the student, even the student promo code? I don't know. The IBM, I think the IBM one, it's free after. I mean, I think they're all free now. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I mean, you can use anyone. I think Osama has a problem that maybe he used his code last year, perhaps. That could be one reason, because otherwise the IBM one is 6 months. But anyway, for Osama, I think. So Osama, is your just expired? I think you can apply for another student one, perhaps, because I know as a staff, I can. You may need to create a new account, though. But anyway, wherever, as long as you have things deployed somewhere. But just one thing, sorry, Alex, just one thing about Amazon. I'm happy to use Amazon, but keep in mind, if you use a virtual machine, you have to tell me why you use a virtual machine. So I'm not sure what the platform as a service is called in Amazon. I forgot. Is that the App Engines? Or no, maybe App Engine is the Google one. Why can't they also use the same names? God. Yeah, but I'm 100% sure that Amazon still has platform as a service. So you need to tell me why, in case if you're not using platform as a service, why you have used a virtual machine instead. Yeah, I'm fully aware. I just don't remember the name. So I'm just saying the problem that I had with Amazon is that a lot of people go and use Amazon and then they just go and use virtual machines, which is not what we're trying to achieve here. I mean, if you use Amazon, I mean, same if you use Google Cloud, you could even use, what are they called? Oh, you can use Lambda as well. All of those things that we do here, I'm pretty sure you can do them with Lambda, actually. It was actually my intent to start using function as a service instead of platform as a service, because there's so much less coding to do for people, makes them feel more comfortable. But I might actually go and change the last. Google is evil. Yes, Google is extremely evil. I totally agree with that. It took me like half an hour one day to find out how to turn off my application. Yeah, definitely really bad UI. So yeah, one thing that guys maybe can explore, explore the functions as a service as well, like Lambda or Google Functions, sorry, or IBM Functions. They can do a lot of the things that we're trying to do. They are, in my opinion, probably the future. They are extremely good. I like it. But yeah, any other questions before? I think we're almost time to close up. I mean, not time that it's closed up, but I discussed all the assignments and I don't see many questions, which is good and bad in the same way. Yep, I'm looking at the chat. Nothing is moving. And the numbers are picking up. I guess people are coming in late. Okay, people coming in late. Do you have any questions? I will make this video public anyway, so you can go and watch it. We have discussed the assignment. Unless you have something that you want to ask me now. You should make this a little bit more interactive. Like, is there any game? Is there a way to do like a poll or something? No, not really. No. Would have been a lot better. Okay, nope. It seems like no one has any more questions. So please keep coming to the pracs. Yeah, keep coming to the pracs, please. It's very important. I really want to make sure that everybody can get an HD, and not because I'm giving them away, but because of the good work, and we're trying to put the resources in place to do that. So, okay then. Well, I'm gonna count to 10. If I don't get any more questions, I'm just gonna say goodbye. 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. All right. Thank you all for coming tonight. I'll make this public. I will send the assignment like document tonight as well, so that people can review it, and hopefully that can help everybody. All right. Good night.